Here at Tiny House HQ, we've got 3 toilets. One in the house is a conventional wet flush toilet, but it's not connected to the town's municipal sewage. It's on our own septic tank. So, although it's a flush toilet, the system is all self-contained here within the property.
But it's never activated, smelly red alert.
In the house truck, and that is a macerating marine toilet, which a 12-volt macerating pump empties the toilet using a lesser amount of water. It mixes it up and puts it all into a storage tank. 18 years ago, when I built this truck, I fitted this toilet brand new. It was pretty much top of the line. It was an electric macerating boat toilet, which I figured was the nicest toilet I could have that was closest to a conventional flush toilet. It's something that I put up with for a long time. It seems that every time somebody who hadn't been trained in its use came and used it, it ended up being blocked because of the size of the hole down it. You had to learn to crap like Mr. Whippy. It wasn't pleasant. It's always me who had to dismantle a thing and clean it out whenever there was a problem. So when it stopped working a year ago, I just closed the door and walked away. It hasn't been used in a year. It's caused me a lot of problems, and it's so nice to be able to just walk away from it.
My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny doesn't flush.
So, something had to be done. You can't just not have a toilet. So I started looking at the dry composting method, a bucket toilet. Now, these can be purchased at great expense here in New Zealand, or they can be made. Now, a bucket bog essentially is what we've got here. Anything else that's added to it is just something to make it look pretty.
My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny, well, you might think it's funny, but my dad's dunny doesn't flush.
Now this is a nice mixture of sawdust, wood shavings, and choppings from my garden mulcher. I make it just into a nice mix so that it handles well. Because I'm here by myself, this lasts a long time. Each of these buckets takes me 2 to 3 weeks to fill, and then they get put outside down the side of the shed in a row, and it's the last bucket in the row that gets emptied into the compost. That last bucket, by the time it's emptied into the compost, has been sitting there for around just 3 months. Yeah, so there's a 3-month period of pre-seasoning in the bucket, and then it goes and gets layered into the compost with all of my garden waste. So we've got 1 bucket full of sawdust and doo-doos going into the compost every 3 weeks, but by the time it goes in, it's 3 months old. There is no smell whatsoever. I leave the door open here, so it's well ventilated. The dry composting toilet is a bucket. It uses no water whatsoever. The only moisture that's in there is from your own wheeze. There's no smell. It saves I'm calculating this on my own personal use of a toilet. Using the toilet 6 times a day is 6 flushes. Each flush is 12 litres. 6 12s is 72 litres of water a day used to get rid of my bodily wastes. That's 72 litres of water that could be otherwise be used for watering a garden, cooking or drinking or washing. I don't like wasting water. So what I've got here is some dried peat moss. Okay, it's dry, it's compressed, it's too dry to use as it is. So what we do is we get this is 2 scoops, and then we're going to add 1 scoop of water and give it a quick stir up. Here it comes. Right, and what I've ended up with so there we go, 2 scoops of dried compressed peat mixed with 1 scoop of water has now expanded and mixed out to form half a bucket full of very, very usable, nice, organic mixture that can be used in your composting toilet. You've got to be sensible with the kind of toilet paper that you use. You can't use these embossed, triple, fabulous, expensive, hard to break down toilet paper. Hey, it's a bit like breathing. We all do it. Now here's one of my buckets that's been sitting for just under 6 months. You will see that there are some lumps. The toilet paper's mainly gone. There's not much sign of anything in here. Stage 2 was the compost bins. On the left you'll see the compost bin that's been filling up with all my winter stuff. The one in the middle here is the one that I'm emptying at the moment, and on the right hand side this is the one that gets filled on the day-to-day basis. So 3 compost bins. Right now here you can see I've spread the contents out over the compost bin. It's in layers. There's going to be a new one of these layers approximately every 3 weeks. By the time it gets in here, it's around 6 months old. There's very slight sign of toilet paper just here and here. Everything else seems to be fairly well broken down. So over the next 3 weeks I'll be putting other types of general waste from around the garden and the house on top of here, and then there'll be another layer of this, and that gradually breaks down. This compost bin on the left hand side, it's honestly going to be a full year until I'm using it. The next bin I use will be this one here that's rotting down at the moment. That's filled and rotting. This is what's in use from a year ago, and this is going to be next year's. So this, hope you see how the system goes. Just a rotation of 3 bins, and all the waste from around the property that is biodegradable goes into these bins, and then it can all get put back out onto the fruit trees and help with things that grow. So, hopefully that's going to give you something to think about. If you did have a little bit of trouble taking that kind of stuff in, here's the Formidable vegetable sound system with Dad's Dunny.
doesn't flush. My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny, well, you might think it's funny, but my dad's dunny doesn't flush. Yeah, my dad's dunny's full of dirt, but it's never activated, smelly red alert. Don't worry about the germs, cause they're eaten by the worms. Yeah, cause my dad's dunny's full of dirt. Yeah, my dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny, well, you might think it's funny, but my dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny grows fruit trees, breaking down your business so there's no chance of disease. It's safer and it's clean to turn brown into green. That's why my dad's dunny grows fruit trees. Yeah, my dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny doesn't flush. My dad's dunny, well, you might think it's funny, but my dad's dunny doesn't flush. Well, he never needs a plumber, cause the dunny's never blocked. Fertilizer for the garden, well, the pile is always stocked. Just chuck some sawdust on your number ones and number twos, then